Thank you for attending today's webinar. We will begin in 1 minute. Thanks once again for attending today's webinar, Maximizing Dealership Sales Efficiency with Mastermind, which is hosted by The Shop. Your presenters today are Christy Manoski and Andrew Bernzos from Automotive Mastermind. If you have questions during the presentation, please type them into your webinar toolbar and we'll get them over for an answer. Christy, over to you.
Thanks so much, John. Good morning, good afternoon to everybody. Thank you so much for taking your time out of the day to join us about maximizing dealership sales efficiency while using AI within your dealership. Quick introduction. I'm Christy Manoski. I'm the Associate Director on the National OEM Account Management Team for Automotive Mastermind. I've been in the industry for going on about 10 years, been with Mastermind for 8 of them. And looking forward to talking to you guys all about AI today. And let me quickly introduce my colleague, Andrew, who's also going to be participating in the webinar today.
Thanks, Christy. Super excited to be here today. Thanks for joining, everyone. My name is Andrew Bernzos, Senior Business Development Manager with Mastermind. I come to you with around 15 years of automotive experience, both on the retail and vendor side, and been with Mastermind going on 7 years. So excited for the conversation. Feel free to drop those questions as we go through today. We want this to be as interactive as possible and get as much out of it for everyone on the call.
Awesome. Thanks, Andrew. So before we dive in, you know a little bit about us now. Let's learn a little bit about you guys. What I'd like to see is if you could please add the poll, John. Which departments are you representing? Sales, service, marketing, management, or external agency?
I think we'll have a pretty good mix today, Christy.
Okay. We do, yeah. Ooh, a lot of sales, some marketing. Very nice.
Yeah, a fair amount of agency vendor as well too. That's great.
Yeah, welcome everybody. All right, so it looks like sales is the primary. Also, we have quite a few people, to Andrew's point, from marketing and some agency vendors as well. So we're going to be able to touch on all the departments across the board. So this will be beneficial for everybody. So the role in AI in the modern dealership, let's talk about that. So I know there's a lot of information on this slide, but what this is going to show us is that the greater majority of dealers are either already using AI today or planning to do so this year. Looking at this slide, it shows us that more than 20% of dealers are using AI currently, and 80 to 90 plan on deploying AI within this calendar year. So if you don't have a plan set in place yet, I hope that by the end of today's presentation, we give you some really good ideas and thoughts to process and think over. There are so many SaaS products out there with a component of AI. You may already be using it and may not even know. So dealerships generate a vast amount of data from various touch points, including website interactions, lead forms, CRMs, service records, just to name a few. AI can provide you with actionable insights by analyzing all of your data in real time. This in turn is going to allow you for smart, strategic, data-driven decision-making. Predictive analytics is another area of AI that identifies who the right customer is to talk to at this time. This is done by analyzing customer data points such as demographics, browsing behavior, purchase history, just to name a few. Other AI-driven efficiencies in the dealership can look like automated email, text follow-ups, chatbots, and virtual assistants. AI can analyze market trends, and enhance your marketing efforts, spanning across your entire dealership. It will allow you for operational efficiency. So let's talk about some actually developing some AI-powered strategies. But before we do, I'd love to hear, both Andrew and I would love to hear, what part of your dealership you think it would be most impactful for: service, loyalty, new customers, or marketing automation? So we're going to open up another poll for you.
With a lot from sales here, I'm thinking a lot of loyalty and new customers, but
Definitely. And marketing automation.
Yeah, absolutely, for those marketing folks, no doubt. Getting the team more at bats, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Oh, got a couple service coming through.
Love that. Maybe a couple fixed ops team members on the call today. Perfect.
Yeah, perhaps. All right. Well, it looks like it was pretty even split between new customers and marketing automation, then with a little bit of service sprinkled in too. Great aspects of all. All right, so I'm going to hand it over to Andrew. He's going to walk you through a portion of Mastermind now.
Perfect. Thanks, Christy. So really excited to be here today, talking to you a little bit more about Mastermind and how you can use sales efficiency and tricks in order to get some feedback here, Christy. Are you getting your feedback?
Not feedback, but your audio's struggling a little bit, it does sound like.
Okay, we'll give it another shot here. So still getting some feedback, but I'm doing my best to manage through it. So AI can be used in so many different ways, and with Mastermind, using Mastermind Copilot AI and the power of machine learning and Fritz at your fingertips is a great way for seamless interactions with different audiences that you may want to get in front of your dealership. So using machine learning and using Fritz and Copilot AI, you're able to prioritize high quality opportunities. We know that within a dealership's database and all the data and information living within a dealership, sometimes it seems a little bit daunting to figure out who are the right prospects to be communicating with, who are the most likely to engage with you and interact with you in the near time future. And then furthermore, how to personalize all those interactions along the way without having a ton of human power on that. And the whole goal is to help optimize workflows, right? So you and your team members are able to save time, create more efficiencies, and at the end of the day, get more at-bats and more leads into your dealership, both from a sales and service perspective. So one of the things that I hear over and over again when interacting with dealerships and dealer groups across the United States is that team members, especially on the sales and service side and even marketing, is they have so many things to do every single day. There's different OEM portals to log into, there's different internal tools to log into, and at the same time, their number one goal is either selling a vehicle or getting more customers in for service, and they oftentimes find that they have a lot of wasted interaction in their outreach to potential audiences to bring into the store. So for a second, just take a step back and realize that even just one salesperson taking time to nurture maybe an ineffective prospect or someone that doesn't own their car anymore that maybe you sold a vehicle to 4 years ago, times a normal workflows, call it 50 bad outreaches in a month, can turn out to almost an entire wasted day throughout the month. And we know that time is power, and we want to make sure that we're helping to lead you to the best opportunities, folks that are relevant opportunities, that still live in your market area, that are still potentially driving that vehicle that maybe you transacted with them on before, streamlining these interactions to help save time, because we know at the end of the day, time is our number one resource. Okay, so what I want to talk to you a little bit now is kind of looking a little bit underneath the hood of how Mastermind uses data and information, machine learning, and AI to help lead you to the best opportunities. So within Mastermind, we are very fortunate to be part of S&P Global Mobility. Underneath the S&P Global umbrella lives Mastermind, Polk Data, Market Scan, and Carfax. So definitely some household names you may already be using or have used at one point in time at your dealership. Once we get all that data and information, we pump it into Fritz, who's always been living behind the scenes, but now we're bringing him out to the surface. And that's our machine learning algorithm. So we're able to crunch these hundreds, if not thousands, of external data points outside of your sales and service data at the dealership to start to understand who's exuding behaviors or who's potentially going to be re-entering market in the near time future, so you and your team members can pick up the ball and communicate with those folks that are most likely to transact. The scoring is BPS for short, but that's for behavior prediction score. The first thing we need to do, like anything, is understand who the customer is. So once we absorb in all of your sales and service data, we need to understand, is it a customer that bought new from you before? Are they a pre-owned customer? Are they an off-brand pre-owned customer? Are they finance, lease, or cash? Maybe they're a customer who has a service-only relationship at your dealership, but you'd love to have some more insights to sell them their next vehicle. Or maybe it's a customer that recently moved into your market area and you don't have a relationship on a sales or service side, and maybe don't know who that customer is and would love to make outreach to them. Mastermind's going to be able to ingest and help with all those different audiences. If you could hit next, Christy. Thank you. So this is where the enrichment comes in. So once we ingest the data, we cleanse it and start to unify that information, we want to start layering on our proprietary first-party data to help give you a better understanding of who's in market. And our in-market score is an indicator of who's likely to replace their vehicle within the next 90 days, or if it's on the service side, likely to have a service that they're in market for in the next 90 days as well. So this is where we really start to enrich with this first-party data. Polk is hugely helpful. For those that aren't familiar with Polk, they do a lot of amazing things. But one thing they've done since the 1960s is get registration data from every single state on a monthly cadence. This helps us understand length of ownership, trade cycles, brand loyalty, segment loyalty, what vehicles they've had registered to their household. So think for a moment, right? Maybe you sold one person in the family a vehicle, but they have 2 or 3 other cars registered to the household they didn't get from you. We have all that insight on that household. The Carfax piece, obviously very, very helpful for verification of ownership. I remember, Christy, when I was in retail selling cars, I would call a customer 10, 15 times just for them to tell me, hey, Andrew, quit calling me. I don't own this car. I sold it a year ago. So being able to understand, do they still own the car? Do they still live in your area? Are they loyal to your dealership? Maybe they bought from you, but they're cheating on you in service and servicing at another dealership in the same area. Or maybe they're servicing at an independent shop outside of your store. Mastermind has the ability to loop all this data back into the system, inclusive of real-time mileage readbacks, which is obviously hugely helpful for potentially your lease portfolio. Maybe it's a customer that has 8 months left on their lease and they're already exceeding lease mileage allowance. Maybe a customer that hasn't been back into service for a while, but they're approaching being out of manufacturer's warranty and those service RO bills are starting to stack up. Maybe it's time to introduce a new vehicle with a fresh set of warranty and some maintenance for them. And then in addition to all the transactional automotive data we have access to, we also look at a lot of household behavioral data. So things like household demographics, lifestyle changes. Maybe a customer was recently married or divorced. Maybe they're like me with a younger expanding family, or maybe they have kids going off to college. All those different personas are going to have different buying patterns and needs. And Mastermind's able to look at that and then pull that into our in-market score in order to better understand when that customer is likely to replace their vehicle. Next, please. The next score that we look at is what we call our vehicle affinity score. So not only do we look at all the vehicles that Ford and Lincoln makes and sells in the United States, we also have that data on every single manufacturer. And we can look and see if the vehicle that you have the customer mapped up to for their next replacement vehicle is scoring high, in the middle, or maybe below some of your competition. Where this becomes hugely helpful at the store level is understanding which customers maybe I need to be a little bit more proactive with. You know, if we see certain demographics within certain zip codes defecting to different vehicles, we need to be more forward with getting in front of the customer, letting them know what offers, what features and benefits our vehicles have that match up with their lifestyle, and our vehicle score will help map them to that. And then when we think about it, the next score we look at is the deal score. So this is really neat. So we're able, because of the partnership with Ford and Lincoln, to ingest all national and regionalized incentives, as well as private incentives, which I'll be getting into shortly. And then we also give the dealership the autonomy to kind of pencil the deals that makes most amount of sense for them and their market that they're in. We partner with some of the largest trade books out there. So when you're valuing potential trade-ins and sending out upgrade offers, it's not Mastermind's number, it's your number. And you can schedule it down to the percentage and the value down to the model level, because you know your market really well. Maybe some trade-ins that you have no problem selling them and they get off the lot before they're even reconditioned. And other ones tend to stick around a little bit longer. We want to give you the autonomy to customize how you're pulling in inventory and how you're valuing that. We also partner with a lot of DMS and CRM integrations as well, making it seamless in pulling in data, making the team members not have to jump around to 15 different systems to find the information they're looking for. And then the next score you're going to see within our system, and I'm hopeful maybe some of you reach out to us to have a customized demonstration. You'll be able to see the superpower of Mastermind Copilot AI. We just announced this at NADA this year. And why I'm so excited about it is dealers and dealer groups across the country have always said, hey, Mastermind, you have some of the best data and information out there, but not all my team members are created equally. I have some folks that just recently started at the dealership, and I've got some team members that have been here for a really long time. Now with the click of a button through Mastermind Copilot AI, we're able to take all this information on every individualized customer and automatically generate SMS, text, call scripts, and email scripts with all the pertinent information within 5 seconds, saving you and your team members time, and also maybe helping some of those team members that don't necessarily always know what to say, giving them the power to send exactly what you as a manager would maybe want going out to that customer. But at the end of the day, we know that team members are busy and we want to automate things as much as possible. The safety net of Mastermind for our dealers is our predictive one-to-one marketing campaigns that are automatically generated, CI and OEM compliant with Ford and Lincoln, that are unique to each individualized buyer. So we want you to be able to proactively engage customers across your entire portfolio. So of course, we're going to be able to ingest all of your DMS sales data. So we'll give you insights on your loyalty database, both those new and pre-owned customers. And if you look over on the right-hand side of my screen, Janet is probably the customer that nearly every single dealership I've been speaking with in the last 2 years has said is the #1 priority for them. And that's that customer that services with the dealership, but didn't purchase their vehicle at the store. We have an exclusive integration with TransUnion, which will identify the Janets of the world, do an automated soft credit pull through to you, which identifies the customer's trade line, contract start and end date, current payment and terms, and then we'll layer on all of that other really rich information that we have and absorb that customer into your database, giving you and your team's line of sight to that amazing conquest opportunity. And the added benefit is we know that when inventory was a little bit tight during some of the inventory crisis, some of our most loyal customers were forced to defect from our dealership because we didn't have the vehicle that they needed at the time. And this is a great way to recapture loyalty data and information for that customer that still lives in your backyard, still services with you, but that old deal type in their previous car is still what's living in your DMS. And in a lot of cases, is still what you're marketing to that customer for a replacement. So a great opportunity to enrich that information and give you more at-bats with conquest and recapturing loyalty customers. And then in my bottom right-hand corner of my screen, we recently introduced our new Acquire program. Acquire is the ability for you to drive new customers into your dealership who have never bought or never serviced. So whether you're looking to drive additional service business into your dealership for customers driving your brand in your PMA AOI that are in market for service, or whether you're looking to drive additional sales for customers that are likely to be Ford and Lincoln intenders, we can help out with that as well too, with tailored one-to-one communications to that audience. In addition to the safety net of predictive one-to-one marketing campaigns, we're going to turn up the fire a little bit for Ford and Lincoln dealers. We are now ingesting all Ford and Lincoln private offers into the Mastermind user interface. And why I love this is now you're able to take that private incentive that you see on a customer and cross-reference it with the customer's index behavior prediction score, so that when you're prioritizing who you're making outreach to first, you're able to identify those folks that are most likely in market and most likely to do business with you in the near time future. And the added benefit is for any of those customers with a high BPS score that we would be sending marketing to anyways, we will include that private incentive offer on the marketing that's stackable with other regional and nationalized incentives. I'm really excited about this. You'll be able to see the customer's redemption code, what that incentive is for, which vehicles it qualifies for. And you'll notice on that little marketing piece down there, all of our marketing is all QR code integrated, which will then land the customer either on your website or a customized landing page where they can start to browse inventory, change models, update their deal. Meanwhile, we're looping and circling all this information back to you as the dealer, so that when you pick up the phone to call, you're empowered to have a really valuable, intelligent conversation and meet the customer where they're at. In addition to all that, we are 100% turnkey co-op eligible with Ford and Lincoln, and we offer seamless monthly billing directly through your OEM parts and accessory statements, making it effortless on your end, knowing that the marketing that's going out is compliant, and we're able to not just have to send you the documents and you have to file for that co-op return. All that stuff is done in the background between Ford and Lincoln and Mastermind. So I touched a little bit earlier on the acquire audience. We know that dealerships are always looking to gain insights into their market area, where the opportunity lies. And we recently released our new opportunity map and marketplace. Now within Mastermind, you're going to be able to see your designated zip codes that are assigned to you. And over on the right-hand side of my screen, you're able to select any of those zip codes to see the available household that Mastermind has data on. In this example, about 9,100. You'll be able to see the amount of active drivers within that zip code in your loyalty database today. And then we can see the in-market audience of intenders into the Ford and Lincoln brand underneath that Conquest tab, in addition to service to sales opportunities and customers that have upcoming lease maturities in the next 9 months. So this is a great opportunity for dealerships to be able to have a little bit more autonomy in controlling where those market conquest leads are going out to through Acquire. So you'll see on my screen here, right, even if you are a Ford and Lincoln dealer or just a standalone Ford, however you want to allocate those leads within there on a quarterly cadence, this gives you the ability to start to understand your market a little bit better and produce strategies, even potentially outside of what Mastermind can do, and how you're understanding your market and sending information out to those customers. So I'm going to go a little bit deeper here on our Mastermind Copilot AI. You'll see a little snapshot of what our customer deal sheet looks like inside Mastermind. Why I really love it is it's comprised of kind of 3 main areas, right? You have a column all about the customer. You can see previous activity, notes. We have several integration with CRM partners, so no double notation. You can see how those customers engage with campaigns, what previous campaigns look like. But in the middle of the screen, I'm going to bring you back to those 4 scores that we saw. So you're able to easily identify who's in market, who you should be talking to, who's going to be replacing in the near term, who's going to be able to take that deal, and who's matched up to the vehicle that you have them linked up to. And then when you click on Fritz, our Mastermind Copilot AI, it'll auto-generate 3 different means of communication, right? So it'll write out a text message, an email, and a call script. And why I find this to be such a benefit, it's just a massive time saver, right? If you say, hey, previously you wanted to go into any data or equity mining tool, or you're looking at a customer through your CRM, you may scroll through multiple pages for 5-10 minutes figuring out exactly what to say to the customer. Now with Mastermind Copilot AI, Fritz will scrub through all the information on that customer and generate relevant content. So whether they qualify for some amazing incentives this month, maybe they're a lease customer that's over on lease mileage with payments left, maybe they're approaching being out of warranty, potentially maybe they can lower their interest rate or get into a lower payment. Maybe the model you have them mapped to is an upgrade model with some fuel cost savings or some really great new enhancements. All that stuff will be pulled in to these scripts. Why I love this is when your team members are following up, now they have a reason to follow up. Now they know what to say. And long goes the days of just picking up the phone and saying, hey, Christy, how's your car treating you? Or, hey, Christy, would you be interested in upgrading your vehicle? Now you can have all the answers to the test before you make that call, send that email, or that text message. In addition to our Mastermind Copilot AI, when I talk with dealerships, one of their #1 priorities is figuring out how to optimize their service to sales process. They recognize that their service lane is a gold mine. And if I reflect back to my days in retail, I could call a customer 50 times and then not pick up the phone or return a message to me. But then all of a sudden I'd see them in the service department and they'd treat me like a long lost friend, willing to have a conversation and engage with me. With our service portfolio view, not only will you be able to be notified who's actively live in your drive through email in the user interface or through our newly released web-based mobile application, but you're able to look into upcoming appointments and saying like, who are my high behavior prediction scores that are coming into my store over the next couple of days? You know, what are the priorities going on in their world? What behavior drivers do we see on them? And being able to have a clear prioritization of who you want to talk with. I'm sure there's many on the call today that have extremely busy service departments, maybe writing 100, 150, 200 ROs a day. And that's a lot to filter through. But when you can look at it and say, hey, tomorrow I have 25 opportunities coming through that have a BPS score north of 80 with a clear and apparent pain point or priority that I can address and have a valuable conversation with. This gives you and your team the insights and the accountability to follow up and have these really good conversations, obviously to sell vehicles, to take in high quality trade-ins, and create better customer loyalty at your dealership. And don't worry, you may think that what I just reviewed is a lot. One of the things that I'm most proud about with Mastermind is our dedicated support team for your dealerships. We have hundreds of dealer relations managers living across the country, prepared to work with you to understand what your needs are, what strategies you want to outline, right? And we know those are ever changing, right? So one quarter, hey, we just got allocated 50 F-150s and we need to move this metal. And maybe the next month it's, hey, I really need to optimize the service to sales process. We're going to walk with you every step of the way with seasoned industry professionals to help support you, making sure that you're maximizing your return on investment with Mastermind. In addition, your team members will have 24/7 access to Mastermind Academy. So if they're trying to sharpen the tools in their tool belt with quick hit videos, industry best practices, they have access to that whenever they'd like. And then we also have a robust engineering and technology support team. We know technology is amazing, but maybe you have a team member that forgot their logins or need a little bit of extra support. We have those people standing by to make sure that you don't have any disruptions or interruptions to your business. And if we have some managers on the phone, right, I know how many salespeople will come up and say, hey, I forgot my login. I need this, I need that. Hey, I just started, I have some questions. But that manager is busy with their day-to-day. And a lot of times that salesperson or associate maybe gets pushed off to the side for a little bit. With Mastermind, just have them ring your local dealer relations manager or dealer relations representative so that we can jump on, support that person, and get them moving in the right direction. This is something I'm super proud about, and we continue to invest in as a business to help support our dealer partners. I'm going to pass it over to Christy again to go through a few final items.
Thanks, Andrew. That was a lot of information, a lot of really great stuff. So we're going to talk next about some best practices for AI integration. But before we do, let me show you. Oh, come on, there we go. Before we do that, I want to make sure to drive a specific point home. We're not talking about replacing your support teams. AI is there to help amplify their efforts and to help improve collaboration between your sales and service side of the house. Lean into AI to help break down those departmental barriers and allow it to enhance and assist with the job that someone's already hired to do. So to leverage AI effectively, you need to ask yourself the right questions. With Mastermind, these questions become easier to answer, as I'm sure the dots were connecting when Andrew was talking. Let us use your service drive as an example for some of these questions though. Would you know if a great sales lead was in your service drive right now? How would you know that? What's that process actually look like? Who's leading your team? Who's in charge of identifying and converting those customers? How much does your team know about that particular customer, that hot lead that's sitting in the service drive right now? What tools are you providing them to increase their knowledge and their understanding of that customer? Once they identify the right customer, what resources do they have to help them structure the actual offer and then close the sale? Did your conversation attempts build stronger relationships with that customer? That's really important. Now, this one's extremely important. Were you creating a positive or a negative experience for that customer? There were so many times when I was working in the dealership that I would glance over to the service area, the waiting area. I'd be working with a sales manager or a salesperson, and I would ask them, do you know anything about those people sitting there? Those customers that are sitting active, engaged customers. Do you know what they're driving? Do you know what they're in service for? And almost every time I've asked that question, they've said, no, we don't know who they are. We don't know what they're in for. I'm sure it probably sounds familiar. So now is the time to allow your AI to help know who that customer is, what they're driving, and why they're there. Are they a good prospect for a sales opportunity? Every customer is different and has different reasons they're going to be in the dealership and different reasons they're going to convert into their next sale. Allow AI to assist to make sure you never miss an opportunity that's already been in your dealership again. So what would it look like for your team to have more time and be more efficient? AI is not just for sales. It can enhance efficiency across all of your departments. So as far as management goes, Fritz provides real-time reporting, knowing what your team is doing to allow leadership time to make those data-driven decisions that are oh so important. Your sales team, Mastermind solves the problem of, I don't know what to say. I don't know who I should be talking to. Mastermind takes care of all of that for you. Your service drive, Mastermind also makes sure to know who's in the service drive and lets you know what you should be speaking to them about, all the relevant reasons to have the conversation. And then of course, BDC. Mastermind provides personalized outreach and engagement for your BDCs to leverage. So now that you have an understanding of the role AI can play in your dealership, and regardless of where you are with your implementation, if you've already implemented it, if you're in the process of, or you're planning to do later this year, these action steps are essential. First, assess your current processes. What's working and what's not. Choose the tools that suit your area of need. What's the right tool look like? Training and implementation. So this is one that's near and dear to my heart. I urge you to lean on your vendors for assistance here. There's so many opportunities out there to have them come in and help implement various processes. Mastermind is here to support, as Andrew said, in every step of the way when it comes to that. We have a dedicated person that's going to be in your dealership every 30 to 45 days. We also have virtual support that's available 24/7 as well. In addition to that, we also have Mastermind Academy. So there's a lot of different ways that we're there to help support and set up and train your teams. So to wrap things up, I know AI is a powerful tool. You now know AI is also a powerful tool, and it has potential to add immense value to your dealership. It takes the guesswork out of your customer interactions, automates administrative tasks, and improves overall efficiency. So scan this code to get in touch with us. We'd love to have a conversation with you. If you're ready to see what AI can do for your dealership, let's chat. We're here to help and to help you guys take the next steps. I'm going to leave the floor open now to any kind of questions.
Yeah, thanks for calling that out, Christy. I think we know that every dealership is so unique, right? There's different people, processes, regions, needs, and no two conversations I ever have with a dealership or a group look exactly the same. So we definitely encourage you, if you heard anything today that you have questions on, or want to ping ideas off of us, we'd be happy to have a conversation, share some best practices, dive a little bit deeper into the solution to see if anything that we do can help support your business and profit goals for 2025 and forward.
Andrew and Christy, thanks for your time today. Again, if any of our attendees have questions for Christy or Andrew, please put those in the questions dialog box on your Webinar toolbar. We do have a couple in already. If you're ready for a speed round of questions.
Sure.
Okay, first one. How does Mastermind's AI ensure the data and insights are accurate and actionable?
Yeah, I can jump on that. Thank you for the question. I think the biggest thing is AI is an amazing tool, and we've heard a lot of kind of horror stories when it comes to AI. If it's garbage in, it's garbage out. So one of our superpowers is having really good access to strong first-party data, right? So through our parent company and sister companies, that's not data that we have to go out and purchase as a business that gets pre-scrubbed and pre-screened and pre-filtered. So having that ability, and then also the multitude of different data touch points. Whereas if you're only looking at one element, and I'll use this as an example because I hear a lot, is equity, right? So say you have someone in your system and a system says, hey, this customer's in equity, and then an automated message goes out to them saying, hey, you're in equity. But what if that customer just bought a car 2 months ago and put $20,000 down? Of course they're in equity, but they're not in market to replace their vehicle. So you need to make sure that the systems, right, have a lot of different data points to cross-reference, like length of ownership, ownership records, previous trade cycles, verifying that the customer still owns the car. I think that's a big piece, right? I mean, we can all reflect on maybe even weekly how many marketing elements we get in our mailbox and our email box for vehicles that we haven't owned for 3, 4, 5 years. So I think the key is having really good data assets that are pumping into your machine learning or AI. And if you don't have that, the output is never going to be good. It'll be automated, it'll be quick, but it'll be inaccurate, and you may actually have to put out a lot of fires. So I would say the data is the key piece to the puzzle there.
Thank you, Andrew. Follow up to that question. What data does Mastermind use for your AI?
So I think I hit on that a little bit. So a lot of registration data, household demographic data. Of course, we're plugged into dealerships' DMS systems, so sales and service records that are coming through. One of my favorite pieces is the Carfax mileage readback, right? So if you have a customer in your portfolio that hasn't been back into the dealership for a while, this internal systems are going to be inaccurate with how many miles are on that customer's car. So if you're sending out, say, an upgrade opportunity with an equity value, but the last mileage read was maybe in some cases their first and last service visit at the dealership, that information is going to be inaccurate. So the Carfax data, the Polk data, we also have an integration with our sister company called MarketScan, which is actually the back-end desking tool for a lot of DMS systems in the marketplace. So our ability to know local tax rates, knowing what incentives are stackable and not stackable is super important. Being able to have direct integration in to know, hey, what does a lease, finance, and cash payment offer look like for this customer are going to be some of the major data inputs that we put into there, in addition to all the other behavioral data, like household demographics that we look into.
Thank you. One general AI question and one specific to Fritz. The general AI question is, how can AI help us engage customers before they start actively shopping for a new car?
Yeah, I can jump on that one too. So I think that's the number one goal that has always been for Mastermind, is identify earlier in the process. There's a lot of solutions out there that use AI once the customer starts taking action, like pinging your website, submitting a lead form. But we know customers sometimes will submit a lot of different forms, visit lots of different websites, and have a lot of information being pushed out there. So our number one goal, right, is to use previous patterns, right? We know customers are creatures of habits. If there's a lease customer, right, and every single lease they've ever had, they get out at month 29, and your CRM set up for a cadence to start doing outreach at month 30, right? You're going to be a little bit late to the party there. And there's other household things that come into effect in being proactive, right? We know that if a customer gets into a car accident, the likelihood of replacement, even if they repair that vehicle, goes up drastically within 90 days of that accident. So having that data input to get in front of that customer, that information wouldn't typically be living in the DMS system, allows us to get in front of that customer. Our system is not just a time-based system. I remember back from my retail days, right? Everything in my CRM was all a time-based task. But unfortunately, life doesn't happen in a time continuum task list, right? So these things happen all the time. I reflect back to, when I had my first kid, my wife was driving a smaller sedan, she looked at me and said, hey, there's no way I'm putting the stroller and the kid in this car. I need a crossover SUV, right? And she wasn't expired, her contract wasn't expiring soon in her current vehicle. She wasn't in an equity position. She wasn't out of warranty, right? So there's so many elements outside of the transactional data that we're so used to only looking at when communicating with a customer in automotive, that Mastermind is absorbing and taking into the database. That's a few of the ways we're able to be proactive and get in front of the customer.
Thank you. What makes Fritz different from other AI solutions available to dealerships?
So I feel like I may be being a little bit repetitive here, but I think the number one thing is going to be the data input, right? Is the ability to have unique information and of data that's going in there. And listen, no system is ever going to be perfect. That's why we always say there needs to be human element involved. So obviously our marketing campaigns go out automatically, right? It's all very transactional driven, right? It's all the data that we get into our system and then push out. But when you're using Copilot AI and clicking on it, you may see something generate and you're like, hey, that sounds pretty good, but it could be better. So right underneath it there's a little rephrase button where you can click that as many times as you want, right? So if you want to shorten it, maybe you want to pull some information out. There's also a copy and paste function. So we encourage all of our stores to copy that over into their CRM because you want that to be the holder of all your information in your store. So maybe you want to shorten it up a little bit, take something out. I would say that's going to be the important part of any AI is having human involvement, right? Especially when it's something that's going to be automated going out. So I love automation, and I think automation can create efficiencies. But at the end of the day, automotive is still a human business, and we need to still put some human capital on anything that is automated.
Thank you for that. How is Fritz being leveraged for the service drive?
I would say the one way is, if you remember, I showed that service portfolio view, which had a list of all the index behavior prediction score customers. So some of our stores that have the best process in the service lane is if they see they have a high behavior prediction score, a day before that appointment, they're going in and either selecting a call, but more likely an email or a text, right, to send off to the customer ahead of that appointment with a little call to action, right, is, hey, Christy, I see you're coming in for service tomorrow. I noticed a few things on your portfolio. Take a look at this. I think you may be interested, right? All of our Copilot AI gives the customer a link to their personalized landing page where they can browse inventory, look at extra incentives, see how down payment and mileage updates changes their deal. So that's probably the number one way that I see Copilot AI being used is ahead of that appointment, giving the customer a heads up. And then say you send that out to 30 customers that have a high BPS score and 12 of those customers engage on there. Well, now all of a sudden I have my really good subset of customers that I want to make sure I go and have a conversation with back there. And then they're already warmed up. They're expecting a conversation with me. And I'm not, as a salesperson, just jumping down their throat when they weren't expecting to have a sales level conversation when they're just in for service. Those would be a few of the items that I'm seeing really effective of leveraging service portfolio and Copilot AI.
Okay, thank you. Can you speak again to what makes private offers and Mastermind different from other vendors?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think it's going to link back to the cross-reference between our index score and the private offer. So I want to be really clear, right? This is not Mastermind powering this private offer, right? These are the incentives that Ford and Lincoln put out based around whatever their needs are, right? Inventory levels, incentive budget, and the sort, right? But knowing the ability to cross-reference and then also have that marketed out to your most in-market opportunities with tailored one-to-one predictive marketing campaigns. So it's one thing to say, hey, Christy, great news. Ford's giving you an extra $2,000 to buy an F-150 this month, right? But if your marketing campaign says, hey, Christy, we noticed that you're in a leased vehicle, you have about 7 months left on your lease, and you have about 2,000 miles before you eclipse lease mileage allowance. You maybe weren't expecting to get new vehicle this soon, but because of this Ford private incentive and this national incentive and this dealer discount, here's what we can do to help you and help save you as much money as possible. So I think it's just taking all that information, combining it into a really strong tailored marketing campaign. And then also for individual follow-up, leveraging Mastermind Copilot, right? So you see a customer has a private incentive. Well, be proactive with that customer, right? Click on it, send them the information, send them a text, send them an email, figure out what Copilot AI says to tell them on the phone to give you a higher likelihood to convert that customer in, right? Because a dollar amount doesn't mean anything to a customer unless they know exactly how it's going to impact their situation.
Thank you, Andrew. That was all the questions that we have. Any final parting comments?
I would just say thank you everyone for your time. We know that time is super valuable. We value you coming on today. Hopefully you got something from the conversation. Again, feel free to scan this QR code. If the timing isn't perfect right now to have the conversation, you're always welcome to visit automotivemastermind.com in the future. There's tons of resources on there. There's ability to request information from us as well too. Or if you happen to know your local mastermind associate in your area, feel free to reach out with any questions, any feedback. We love having conversations. We love what's here and hear what's going on in the marketplace. And hopefully we can be a good partner and help you all in the future.
Thank you all very much for joining us today.
Well, thank you both for your time and your presentation today. For our attendees, thank you for your time, and be sure to visit theshop.com for information on Mastermind and other great products and services to help your dealership. You'll also be receiving an email within the next few days. It'll have a link to this webinar recording so you can view it again on demand and catch that QR code if you didn't get it already. Thank you and have a great day.